keynote speaker. Many of you know her because she's been around our district for quite some time. It's an honor to have her. So we're going to have Jessica Allen, who will actually be celebrating 15 consecutive years as a Toastmaster this November. Anyone else there have 15 years in? I only have half of that. Right. She started her Toastmaster journey at the age of 19. 19 in hopes of one day becoming Miss America. Jessica never won the crown, however, but she said that she won so much more just being a Toastmaster. In her 10 year as a Toastmaster, Jessica has served in many of the officer roles on the club, district, and now the international levels. Most recently, Jessica was appointed for the second time by the international president as our Region 2 advisor. As the Region 2 advisor, her job is to support all the districts, and there's a lot of districts in her region, through training, marketing efforts, and any other additional support that we may ask for. Today, this evening, this Friday, Jessica will be sharing how to build successful teams and make the most out of every team member. Please put your hands together as we welcome our Region 2 advisor, distinguished Toastmaster, Jessica Allen. All right, Jessica.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Good evening, District 33. I am so happy to be here with you tonight. I am excited about this new year that we're all starting together and the possibilities we have in serving and growing together as a team. Tonight, I'm going to speak to you about the core values of a winning team. Now I'm going to share my PowerPoint so that you all can see that. And our objectives tonight are, one, to understand the 10 core values to a winning team. I'm going to share 10 with you. So I encourage you to take notes. Hopefully we can have some of this posted for you later, but I do encourage you to engage and take notes, write your questions in the chat so that we can talk about them later. Once you understand the 10 core values, you're going to be able to identify individuals on your team that have the character, the competencies, and the commitment to be a part of a winning team. And lastly, at the end of all of this, when you have now understood the 10 core values of a winning team and you've been able to identify what those team members look like, I want you to assess yourself. Evaluate whether you are one of those people who is currently on a winning team, you've been on a winning team, or you want to be on a winning team. Let's start with the Toastmasters core values. I like that Joseph brought that up. Something I always like to start with, because I believe not only in Toastmasters, but in your work, in your everyday life, these core values really speak to who we are as people. As a Toastmaster for 15 years, I have learned to not only use these core values in everything that I do in Toastmasters, but I also use it in my work life with employees, with my children, with my husband, with my friends. Integrity, respect, service, and excellence are something that you always want to keep in the forefront of your mind. So I wanted to just put that out there first before we get into these 10 core values of a winning team. My favorite author, and I'm sure some of yours, is John Maxwell. I take a lot of courses from him. He is the leadership guru. One of the things he says about a team is that when you're winning, nothing hurts, right? It feels good. It feels good to win. But at the same time, if you're losing, it hurts pretty bad. And a little bit of you dies inside when you lose something. Winning is not an automatic process. It takes work. If you want to win, you have to do it on purpose. And that's something we're going to talk about tonight. There's a coach named George Allen. I don't know if you all know who that is. He had a quote that said, "Only winners are truly alive. Winning is living. Every time you win, you are reborn. When you lose, you die a little inside." That takes us to our first core value of a winning team: a commitment that inspires results. I don't care where you are in the world. If you are a part of a team, there has never, ever been a team that has achieved extraordinary results without 100% commitment to the cause. It doesn't take one person to win. I liken it to the world champion of public speaking. Now, I myself have never been a world champion of public speaking, but I'm sure it's something we can all relate to because we like to tune in and be a part of that whole process. What happens with the world champion of public speaking is that they are committed to becoming the world champion of public speaking. And they are committed to getting the end result, which is to reach the world stage and to be awarded that goal. But do you know that most world champions, if not all of them, didn't get to that stage by themselves? No, maybe they started in a club level, won the club level, and as they went on, they accumulated more and more team members to help them in the common goal. And that commitment led to a common vision. The whole team had to understand the vision of this person, that they one day want to be the world champion of public speaking. It was the common goal. So everybody who was on board understood that if we're going to be on board, the goal and the end result is for our player to be the world champion of public speaking. Napoleon Hill says, "Cherish your visions and your dreams, as they are the children of your soul, the blueprints of the ultimate achievements." So when you talk about a common goal and commitment to that goal, it's important for that team who rallies around that world champion of public speaking to buy in to that dream, to that vision. Let's talk about buy-in for a second. And this goes for every team. I'm just using the world champion of public speaking as an example. So in order for a team to buy into the vision, they, number one, have to understand it. They have to understand the vision. How many times have you been on your job or you've been the leader of any group, whether it be in Toastmasters or outside of Toastmasters, and you casted a vision and you didn't understand why people didn't quite get it? It was because you didn't explain it properly so that they could understand. So the first key in order for a team to buy in is to understand what the vision is. When they understand it, they can contribute to it. Every team member has to play a part. And even with something like the world champion of public speaking, you might say, well, the world champion of public speaking is on stage all by themselves. How can I contribute to the success of the world champion of public speaking? There are many ways. Maybe you're an evaluator. Maybe you're the water carrier for them before they get on stage. But every team member, once they buy in, they understand, they contribute to it. And once they contribute to it, they own it. They own it as if it is theirs. So it doesn't just become this person wants to be the world champion of public speaking, or I want this goal for myself. It becomes the team goal, so that everyone signs their name on the dotted line and commits to that goal together for achievement. And once they own it, they pass it on. It's infectious. So as this world champion is going up the ladder, more and more people are on their team. And do you notice when they get to the world stage and they win, do you see how crazy people go in the audience who are with that world champion? Because by the time they win, they have bought into the vision because these people have understood it. They have contributed to the success. They own it, and they've passed on that goal to others, maybe in their district, that are supporting this along the way. Once the team is committed, that commitment then translates into loyalty. You know, when I think about loyalty, I was putting this presentation together and I thought to myself, what is the most loyal relationship that I can think of? And you know what came to my mind? Man's best friend. That's right. Man's best friend. Our animals are so loyal to us. They will go wherever we lead them. They love us. They are so forgiving. No matter how we are, they will forgive us. And that is beautiful. And that's how you want your team to be. You want your team to buy into that vision, to own that vision, but then you want them to be loyal to you. In the beginning of a team, the team leader always gives 100% loyalty from day one. And the team gives loyalty in return, 100% of that loyalty to the team leader from day one. Then you invest the rest of your time together as a team, earning and developing that loyalty. Now, earning doesn't mean proving by living up to the positive attributes of having some prescribed notion, but it just means that we are all working together to maintain this loyal relationship with one another. It also doesn't mean that you become a yes man. Let's take a look at what the most loyal general of our time says about loyalty. General Colin Powell says, when we are debating an issue, loyalty means giving me your honest opinion, whether you think I'll like it or not. Disagreement at this stage stimulates me, but once a decision has been made, the debate ends. From that point on, loyalty means executing the decision as if it were your own. When you're in a group of people working together as a community, loyalty means that yes, behind the scenes, we may debate. Behind the scenes, we may agree to disagree. But loyalty means that when we have finally made a decision as a team, we come out as a united force. It doesn't mean you have to be a yes man, because you have to buy into it as well. And sometimes man's best friend often turns into that yes man. And that yes man, being that yes man, can lead to blind loyalty, which leads to defeat. Just like this little pup here. He got a little timeout for attacking the vacuum cleaner because he was blind. Joe Namath said, if you aren't going to go all the way, why go at all? That brings us to core value number 2. A contribution that makes a difference. I heard Clarice refer to Phil Jackson earlier in her opening thought. And I love that analogy. I love the teamwork and the leader that Phil Jackson was. It reminds me of The Last Dance. I don't know if you all have seen that docuseries with Michael Jordan and the award-winning Chicago Bulls. But one of the things I noticed in that documentary, and that a lot of people didn't know, was that in the beginning of that career for Michael Jordan with the Chicago Bulls, he was not actually the star of that team. He wasn't even touted to be the star of the team. It was supposed to be Scottie Pippen. But Michael Jordan, he rose to the occasion and he began to be the breakout star. But that didn't mean that Scottie Pippen could not contribute to the team. Here's where maturity comes in. In the beginning of Michael Jordan's career, he believed that he was the one who could take that team all the way to the top by himself. He quickly began to think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to win anything. He even threatened retirement. There were team members falling off all over the place. And then one day he woke up and thought to himself, I've got to see, even if these players are not as skilled as I am on this team, I've got to see how I can raise them to another level. and how I can find the best part of each one of them so that they can contribute to the team. And you know what happened? Once they contributed to that team, they started to win, and they became unbeatable. Unbeatable season after season after season, because they discovered a formula that worked for a winning team. That brings us to core value number 3. A competency level that raises the standards. Even though he was competent and maybe some of the others weren't, he was able to raise them to higher standards because he knew and he could see that they played a part on the team. Contribution deals with effort. Competency deals with ability. But you need both of these in order to make a team work. So even if you have somebody who may not have the same level of ability that you have, you need the same amount of effort in order for them to help the team flourish. The same with competency. You need people to have the ability to do things and have some skills in order to make that team successful as well. You know, you're only as strong as your weakest link. I know people have heard that, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. If the weak link is in the middle of this really strong chain, it's going to break away. And that affects the entire team. Let's look at some ways of how a weak player affects the entire team. What happens when we have a weak player on the team? We have loss of opportunity. You can't discover new opportunities if everything that you do on this team is helping this weak player. We don't have the ability to be creative because we're always helping the weak player. So it takes away opportunity from the team. That's why it matters to rally around that person, making sure that they understand where they fit. It also creates loss of morale. How many of you have ever been on a team where you knew who the weak link was and everyone knew who the weak link was, but the weak link didn't know that they were the weak link? And it brought down the morale of the team because people got tired. They understood that, you know what, if this person doesn't understand that they are not contributing in an effective manner to our team and not putting the effort forth, then it sucks the life out of the team and no one wants to come and practice. No one wants to have the meetings. No one wants to put events together because the morale is down. And then there's a loss of productivity. Once the morale is down, people stop being productive and things stop getting done. I want you to ask yourself this question about a weak player. And I'm not saying that any of you are weak players. I'm just saying, let's identify some things that may help you later identify a weak player on your team and how you can help them to become stronger. The first question is, are they out of their league? Have you ever had a job where you saw someone who was recently hired by your boss and you thought to yourself, well, wow, I don't even think they're qualified for this job? That obviously is a weak player. Number 2, maybe they're not out of their league. Maybe they're just fine, but they're in the wrong position. You can't be an effective team member if you're not in the right position. I've seen so many people, especially even in our organization, we have so many talented people around us, but oftentimes as leaders, we rush to put people in a position and we are eager as Toastmasters to say yes, but what if that's not our skill set? What if that's not the place we would best be served? Then we become a weak leader because we're not pulling our weight. Are they out of their comfort zone? You know what I've noticed with COVID and having Zoom calls, there are a lot of people who have embraced it and who have flourished. But there are many people who have not because they're out of their comfort zone. So how can we be examples to those people to challenge themselves and to keep going along the way? They may be out of their understanding. Again, this goes back to understanding what the goal is, what the vision is. If they're out of understanding and they don't get what they're supposed to be doing, and that goal and vision wasn't made clear, then they're unproductive. And lastly, are they out of their performance requirements? You know, what ends up happening a lot of times on the team is that there's someone pulling more weight than they should. And what happens is that they become stretched too thin and they check out completely. Which brings us to number 4, one of my favorite core values. And I'm sure it will be yours because we're communicators. Core value number 4, communication that increases the effectiveness of the team. John Gardner said, if one had to name a single all-purpose instrument of leadership, it would be communication. Communication is important because if we don't have communication, everything breaks down. I just recently heard someone say, we're a communication organization, and sometimes I feel like we're not communicating. Well, communication's up to us. It's up to us to share our ideas and to keep that conversation going. Sometimes those conversations are hard, and there are 5 areas of communication that can help your team operate to their maximum potential. The first would be that communication should be candid. Communication must be open, honest, and candid. It's healthy and it fosters trust. Everyone knows where one another stands. No hidden agendas, no scorekeeping, and no secrets. We got to keep it candid. Make sure in a loving way, but we have to stay candid. And sometimes we have to dig a little deeper and go a little beneath the surface in order to make the team function in the correct manner. Number 2, communication that is direct. No beating around the bush. Just say it. Speak the truth in love. Communication that is rapid. When there is some conflict, it is important to address it quickly. Fast is the key. Don't sit on communication items. Get them out as soon as possible. If you have to type up a short, simple memo or a brief email or even have a quick meeting, do it, but do it fast, because what ends up happening is that conflict, that miscommunication begins to grow and grow and grow, and it festers. And eventually it becomes this huge ball of nothing, of mess, where you can't really get over it. So have that communication. If you feel like something's wrong on the team, let's talk about it. Let's get it out. Number 4, communication that is inclusive. Always choose inclusive over exclusive. It's that old adage that we all say, knowledge is power. There are some occasions where discretion is essential, but the team's leader overall priority should be to empower, not imprison, to enlighten, and keep out of darkness. The more everybody knows, the better off the team functions. Number 5, communication that is consistent. Avoid communication yo-yos. This is often a result of a knee-jerk reaction and a lack of good communication. So make sure that communicating is consistent on your part, on the team's part, and avoid that crummy communication cycle where you have communication that is poor, team complaints, communication that is dramatically improved over 30 to 60 days, and then all of a sudden the complaints die down. So does the communication. Stay on it, be consistent, because consistency is important. Design systems for your team that will help you and the team to continue to flow. 3 keys: simple, concise, and frequent. That gives us to almost halfway there. Core value number 5, cooperation. Cooperation that creates harmony on the team. When we have all these things, So we have core value number 1, which is a commitment that inspires results. Core value number 2, a contribution that makes a difference. Core value number 3, a competency level that raises the standards. Competency number 4 increases our effectiveness. It all marries to cooperation that creates harmony between the team. Longfellow said, all your strength is in a union. All your danger is in discord. So if we can learn how to cooperate and understand what that means, it takes a little maturity. It takes a certain level of maturity and commitment and understanding to be able to cooperate on a higher level and create a harmonious team. One thing that cooperation requires is trust. Trust is non-negotiable on a team. Without full trust, little can be accomplished. Trust is like loyalty. It can be extended in the front half, 100% of it, but it's also needing to be earned over time. So while you can quickly gain someone's trust, you can lose it at the drop of a dime. So yes, the team gives you that trust because they have to trust you, but you can lose that trust just by making a poor choice. Without trust on a team, people are in it for themselves, which is the very antithesis of cooperation. Cooperation requires respect. Respect is related to trust, but trust deals more with character and respect deals more with competence. So I'll give you an example. I've heard it both ways. I've had people say, oh, I really want to be on your team because I trust you. You have such a good character. I know you. You are so awesome, Jessica. And then I have people who have said to me, not necessarily that they don't like me, but they respect the way that I led. And so they want to be a part of that. They understand that I'm competent in this area and they've seen a track record of that. Respect, unlike trust and loyalty, can be given up front on a deposit, but must be earned. So respect is earned by a track record of what? Growth, which means success. I always tell people that when they're looking for a mentor, you know, you don't choose a mentor based on just the fact that you like them, right? You should be interviewing your mentor to see where they have been successful. I remember when I was competing and I had a coach who was coaching me, and I had aspirations to be in the world champion of public speaking. And the one key thing that coach said to me was, you know, if you win the district, I can't mentor you anymore because I've never been there and I wouldn't want to hurt you and your chances of winning. And I respected that. So when you're picking a mentor, wherever it is that you want to go, I remember hearing Craig Valentine say a while back that he has a mentor in every aspect of his life, as a husband, as a speaker, as a business owner, a father. You want to select people who you have seen a proven track record of what they've done. You want to see that they have contributed to the team and individuals on their team. That is not just an I attitude, but it's we. It's what we are accomplishing together, not just what I can do on my own, but a we attitude, a we stance. And then you want to see consistency. I keep saying consistency requires an other-oriented point of view. Let me say that again. Cooperation requires an other-oriented point of view. Martin Luther King said that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? I love that quote, but what I love even more is this Chinese proverb that I used to laugh at. My dad used to share it with me. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year or for a month, get married. If you want happiness for a year, inherit fortune. But if you want happiness for a lifetime, help others. Which leads us to core value number 6, a chemistry that enhances personal connection. This is the idea of team fitness, not physical fitness, but teams that fit together. In other words, how well do we get along, or how well do we like each other? Be careful of unrealistic expectations. Do not expect to be close personal buddies with everyone on the team. That's not the purpose of the team. The team is not to make you happy in your personal life per se, on your job, when you have a project, or any other way, but it's to effectively help the organization, whichever organization that might be. This is not this is not a reasonable or practical or even normal way of thinking as the team gets larger and larger. And if it happens, great, but if it doesn't, that's okay, because you shouldn't expect it. If one or two get very close and intimate, then consider yourself blessed. But a good rule of thumb is to understand that you need to be close with few, cordial and casual friends with all, and conflict with none. The key is to enjoy working with your team. So if you go into it with a mindset of knowing that you can still have that great chemistry, you can still have all those core values that I just talked about, as long as you have a clear understanding and you keep focused on the goal. This brings me to core value number 7. This is Andre DeShields. June 9th in 2019, he won his first Tony Award after being on Broadway for nearly 30 years at 73 years old. And one of the things Andre said that night, he said that when he climbs the highest mountain, he knows that it's the bottom of a new one, and he keeps climbing. And that's what he's done his entire career. A creativity that enlarges the team's potential. I am a creative person. I'm a singer. I love being around people. I feel like I could live around people and just enjoy them every day of my life if I could have it my way. But I also love that not only can I be creative on a team, but that no matter how creative I am, more creativity and more creative minds are better than mine. One mind. So if you have all these great core values, if you have this value of chemistry that enhances personal connection on the team, and you have consistency, and you have buy-in from your team, it opens the door to being creative. The team is creative. Good teams think well together. They sharpen each other. They take time to dream and to brainstorm. They don't just do busy work, but they actually think about what can we do to be even better than we were? What can we do to make our organization or our teams better than what they are? And when we've reached the pinnacle of that core value, number 7, being creative, it can sometimes lead to conflict. But conflict's not all bad, and I'm going to tell you how. So core value number 8 is a system of conflict management that reduces stress and tension rapidly. Conflict between any two human beings in close quarters over an extended period of time is inevitable. Is anybody married on this call? Right. I am. Does anyone have children? Does anyone have a coworker, a friend, a cousin, an aunt, a mother, a father? You're going to have conflict. And the more you learn about each other on the team, the more you grow, conflict is guaranteed. The key is not to avoid conflict, but to resolve it rapidly. Over time, conflict will happen, and that's okay. We don't want conflict that feels angry or fearful. but there is a such thing as decent, good conflict, healthy conflict. The key is to have conflict over new things, not over old things. Because if you have conflict over new things that are happening on the team, that more than likely means that the team is growing together. And that is a great sign of growth, of maturity, of connection, of community. Rapid resolution of conflict depends on your level of maturity and security. 8 basic keys to conflict resolution that I've learned are to speak the truth in love. Number 2, to seek to understand the other's point of view. Number 3, to seek common ground. Number 4, make expectations clear. Number 5, stay focused on the issue at hand. Number 6, maintain direct communication, not with third parties. Number 7, listen and don't respond defensively. And number 8, make a commitment to the organization's best interest. Take yourself out of it. Use the 101 rule. Let me find the 1% that I can take away from this conflict that is right, that is good, where I can make this better for the sake of the team. Growth equals change. If the team and the organization is growing, change, like conflict, is inevitable. But it doesn't mean that we can't overcome it. It does not mean that we can't grow together. It means that we have to learn new ways of dealing with different things as we grow as a team. Brings me to core value number 9. Core value number 9. A cohesive team is responsive to change. A healthy team, one of the main parts of being on a team is growing together. That's the fun. That's the fun of being on a team of people, is seeing where you started and where you will end up. And how everyone has gained new skills, how everyone has increased productivity, has become more creative, has put more effort in than they ever have before. This is what makes a team great and cohesive. So let's review before we get to core value number 9. So number 1 core value is a commitment that inspires results. Number 2, a contribution that makes a difference. Number 3, a competency level that raises the standards. Number 4, communication that increases the effectiveness of the team. Number 5, cooperation that creates harmony. Number 6, a chemistry that enhances personal connection. Number 7, a creativity that enlarges the team's potential. Number 8, a system of conflict management that reduces stress and tension rapidly. Number 9, a cohesive team that is responsive to change. And number 10, winning teams have a sense of community. I say community and not unity because they're 2 different things. I think unity is lovely. Unity is great. But I also believe that community is a deeper connection on the team. Because what community means is that you can be in a meeting with a team, you can have conflict, you can disagree on things, you can grow together, you can have those growing pains. But when you come out of that room, you are a community that cares for one another and that wants to see each person on the team grow to reach their fullest potential. With unity, it's great and everyone comes into the room and they say hello and that's wonderful, but unity stays in that place, in that room. but community goes much further. It's where you trust one another and you buy into the vision. The best teams welcome change. The worst teams resist change with a self-defensive and self-protective posture that attempts to guard territory and the way things have always been done. Strong teams adapt quickly to new ideas, culture changes, crisis situations, and innovative thinking. But outstanding teams have a passion for personal growth. They're not just doing it for themselves, they're doing it for the entire team. So what I would like is for, I think Clarice may have it, a file to be dropped in the chat. Clarice, do you have that?
I have it.
Oh, Dennis has it. Dennis is going to drop a file in the chat, and I'd like for you all to download it. It's not for you to do it right now. You can do it on your own time, but I want you to have some introspective and some time alone to really think about how you are on the team. What role do you play on the team? And it's simple yes or no questions.
Should be in the chat. It's in the chat now.
It's in the chat now. Thank you, Dennis. It's in the chat now. So just download that to your computer and save it. And it'll be, I believe, on the website later after this is done. But this is a good exercise. It's short and quick to really assess what part you play on the team and how you view your team right now and what you want your team to look like by the end of this year, whether that's on the club level, the district level, at your job, even at your house, or among your friends. With all that said, I hope that tonight you heard and you were able to digest some of these core values, if not all of them, for you to have the most rewarding experience being a part of a winning team. We have all chosen as Toastmasters to be involved in this community together where we want to empower each other and grow. So let's keep pressing forward and being the best team member we can be and mentoring others to be the best team member they can be. Thank you. Joseph.
All right. Thank you very much, Region 2 Advisor Jessica. That was fantastic. Right now, I want anyone who has any questions, please put in the chat box. And we're going to ask Jessica any questions we have about building strong communities, mention unity, and some other ways to make us more successful whatever we're doing. So please send those information. I believe, Jessica, you'll have the slides available for anyone that wants them.
Sure, I will send them to Clarice so she can post them.
Fantastic. So we have that put into place. We had a really good time. What interested me a lot, you talked a little bit about, even though we're all successful, talented, sometimes the wrong people get selected for the wrong role. And often we just, like you said, as Toastmasters, pick me, I'll do it. And sometimes we don't know if it's the right role or not until we're actually in that role. So how do we step back and are sure that that's the right role for us or not, Jessica?
Well, I think it's natural for us to be frustrated sometimes in a role, especially when it's a new role. It gets frustrating. But I believe in mentorship, right? I think that's why mentors are important, because mentors in my life have sort of pointed me in the right direction based on my skill level. And even if I want to learn something new, that's great. But maybe it's not in that, when I talked about making sure that you're in your league, maybe it's not in that league. Maybe I do have skills, but maybe I need to be in a different place. Or if you have someone who is uber talented, I mean, I've been guilty of doing this as a leader, having someone who who will say yes and will do it all. And then later on realizing that they may not be the correct fit for that role. What I have done as a leader is just pulled them aside and said, hey, does this feel okay for you? Does it feel uncomfortable? Would you like to explore some other options? And I think if you give them those options, they won't be as afraid to come forward and say, you know what, I'm not comfortable in this role and I would like some mentorship, or I would like a different opportunity. I think we have to help one another see that in each other, because a lot of times we don't see ourselves, and we need help. That's why we need a team. We need help to be able to see where we fit, where our skill level is, and how we can increase that.
That's a good point. It's scary to admit that we're in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a question that's in the chat box. How do we build competencies in a team if the effort really isn't there?
That's a good question.
I understand that question.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, leaders are readers. I will first say that. I think you build competencies by doing your homework, and you study and you read books. You constantly educate yourselves, especially if there's a particular skill that you want to learn. I'm always reading books. I'm reading a book right now called The Servant Leader. I don't know if you can see it, but it's called The Servant Leadership Roadmap. And it's an easy read, but it has competencies in it. And it has competencies that it goes through 12 different competencies. And I think once you start to figure out what it is that you are interested in, you are responsible for you. You're not responsible for everybody else on the team. You're responsible for you. And I think that if you do have someone on the team who's not putting that much effort forth, this is where that candid conversation happens, right? There's another book I love called Crucial Conversations. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. And it teaches you how to have those difficult conversations, because a truly well-functioning team is not always going to be able to just be butterflies and fairies. Sometimes we have to dig a little bit deeper and have a real conversation with people about where we stand and our placement on the team. So I think as team members, this is where that trust comes in. You know, you build that trust and you get to a place where you feel like you can talk to them about some areas of improvement in love. In love.
I love that. You know, it comes to my attention more often than not, even in the chat box. First of all, you mentioned something great. We find a mentor. It's a good idea to interview them, make sure they can go the whole way with us. So how do we find a mentor to begin with? What are the good steps to put in place to find the right person to help us along our journey?
Yeah, well, I think finding a mentor takes a while, you know, and I think that depending on where you are in your journey, whatever that is, whatever that means to you, your leadership, will depend on who your mentor is. So I'll give you an example. I have 2 mentors. One of my mentors has been with me since I was in district leadership, and he has been by my side the entire time. But I acquired another mentor who is at a level that I would eventually, hopefully, like to be. And so this mentor is someone that I've watched over the years. I have been observing. And when I saw that this person had that proven record of success, that's the key, a proven record of success, I started to seek him out. And I asked him if he would be my mentor. And I did interview him. He interviewed me too. A good mentor will interview you as well, and they'll think about it. Because a good mentor wants to make sure that they can offer you what you're asking. Mentors don't just take roles just because it's fun to take a role. A true mentor is really going to commit. And I believe that when you are talking to a mentor, you should lay out expectations. You know, lay out the expectations of what you are hoping. So with my mentors, they expect me to call them once a month, right? If I don't call them, they don't call me, because they figured if you need my help, you're going to reach out to me. And so I do, because I'm hungry for information and I want to grow. And that shows my level of commitment to them. And in turn, they are committed to me. So I think the short answer would be to observe and to watch people that you admire and see if that is something that you can maybe acquire, somebody you can acquire as a mentor.
So, you know, that's a real good point. Myself also, I have mentors in different aspects of my life. Speaking ability, leadership ability,
Right.
coaching, a lot of different things. And you're right, we have to find the right person. I've had people come up to me and ask me to be their mentor, and I've had to turn people away because I'm not the right fit for everyone.
Right.
And I found that out the hard way myself. Another question that came up is, we're all from diverse backgrounds, different experiences. A lot of us are not from California, like myself, for instance. How do we build a team? How do we get everyone to buy into our vision if we all got different personality types and don't maybe different characteristics and we don't understand each other yet?
Mm-hmm. So I liken it to a parent that has multiple children. None of your children are the same. And you parent them each differently. Now, I'm not saying you parent adults, but what I'm saying is that you talk to each person differently because each person hears different things. It's interesting how you can sit two people in the same room and play the same TV show and ask them, what did they hear? And they both have two different ways of hearing it.
Oh, yeah.
And oftentimes, as a mentor, I will say something, and I have gotten into the habit of asking the person I'm mentoring, what did you hear me say? To make sure that it's clear, the vision is clear, it's understood. So what I would do again is this network that we're in, that we are fortunate to be a part of in Toastmasters, is so great. It lends itself to us really exploring and getting to know people around the world, unlike any other time in our organization. I would encourage you to start reaching out outside of your club, because you have the ability to do that, and really start to find those like-minded people who are interested in getting to know you and knowing what your skill level is, and you getting to know them. And eventually you build this network of people around you. That's one of the benefits I found in working in district leadership, is that as you start at an area director level, even at a club level, we have these events where you are meeting other officers in other clubs. Start building your network of people and friends and leaders and like-minded people who can maybe have some mastermind groups with you and help you along the way. And you would be surprised at how far your friendship will go. I have some friends in this district right here in District 33 that now call me, and we just shoot the breeze and we talk about different things outside of Toastmasters, because we've established that relationship throughout the year. So I would encourage you, in this climate, in this avenue that we're in right now with Zoom and being able to travel all different countries in one day based on Zoom meetings, to do it. Take advantage of it, because who knows, it might not ever happen again.
I agree. Before I ask you just one more question, I have to agree with that. I visit a minimum 10 clubs a week, and they're not all District 33. I've been to Italy, I've been to Germany, Thailand, Australia, and the list goes on and on. Prague last week. It's really exciting. And they're all a little unique. And that's part of how we grow and learn more and more from each other. But I think the last question I really want to ask you is, what advice or recommendations you have for someone new? Someone had never heard of Toastmasters before. Maybe they did. They finally said, okay, today's the day I'm going to learn all I can learn. What should they focus on? What steps should they do first?
Well, that's a great question. So first of all, I would say to join a club if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
The first step would be to find a mentor in your local club. I think finding someone to travel with you on this journey, at least on the club level, is a good place to start. Again, I will say to read books, figure out what it is that you really want out of Toastmasters, because we are an educational program. We're not a retirement community. We are educating people. And so our goal as an organization is to make sure that you are getting the value out of Toastmasters that you are looking for. So I would do those assessments. Toastmasters International has a lot of great self-assessments that you can take in pathways to see where you want to work from and how you want to start your journey. Thirdly, I would start, again, I sound like a broken record, but I would say, like Joseph, explore, see what else is out there. there are clubs all over the place. And I think that when you visit other clubs, it gives you a broader perspective. I'm going to give a little plug for Toastmasters International. This is the first year we're going to have a free convention. It may be the last. The convention, for those of you who have gone, is not cheap by any means necessary. But when you get there, you see how big our organization really is, how wonderful it is to meet people from other countries who think the same way you do, who feel like brothers and sisters, because they are so excited about the possibilities of leadership and communication. And so I would encourage you to this upcoming convention, tune in. Go to the convention because it's free to you. And I want you to see all the wonderful beauty of this organization outside of your district, because I think it will encourage you to step outside of the box. Become a club officer, become a club officer. That's the best way to learn, is to start right there and learn from somebody. But you are amazing people. I am so happy that I was able to have the privilege to be here with you tonight. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Clarice. Thank you, Debbie, Dennis, your whole team. Thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Jessica. Thanks again. Thanks again. I think Jessica.